Hey guys, long time no video. We are here for episode 405, even though it's not a real episode because I'm not playing Doom, even though I have the gigantic list text file here open. I don't know why I have it open, but we're not playing any Doom today. But it's been 3 months since my last video, and I figured, you know, I should probably do some sort of an update video, even though I don't really have a whole lot I can update. I have some information I can update with, but so that's what I'm going to do. And now, if you've watched my other videos, you may have noticed that I tend to ramble. I tend to ramble on endlessly about bullshit, and tonight's video is going to be exactly the same. I'm going to do that. So if you don't want to listen to that, you can click the little X on the video on your browser there. But before you do that, I will give you the shortened, too long, didn't watch version of the video. And that is that the video series is still on hiatus, unfortunately. And it's going to be like that for another 2 months, 2-ish months, I believe. And the reason for that is because I've been officially diagnosed with carpal tunnel syndrome in my left wrist. And probably soon to be my right wrist as well. So, with that being said, I will do a little recap of what happened. So there's your update. Now you can click the little X on the video if you want. By the way, check out this music. It's pretty snazzy, isn't it? So it's called Chinese Takeout. Okay, so the recap is 3 months ago, I released a video where I mentioned that I had to stop doing the video series, much to my dismay, because I was getting sharp stabbing pains in my wrist, and it got to the point where it was making things, regular everyday things in my life, difficult, like taking a shower, drying myself off, making my food, doing the dishes, you know, these basic things that you have to do every day just to exist. My wrist was making it hard and painful to do that. And so I ended up making the decision to postpone the video series. And I didn't make that decision lightly, because that was episode 404 when I made my decision there. And it did not include any gameplay footage. But for episode 1 until episode 403, I recorded 403 episodes in 403 days. I always have to word it like that because I didn't technically do an episode every single day, because I missed one day. I literally only missed one day. And this was way early on in the video series when I didn't really have anything planned. I didn't have a schedule. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just playing WODs in this list, and that specific day I had to work late. And I mean, I could have made a shorter video after, you know, when I got home, but you know, this was early on in the video series. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just said, whatever, I'll do it tomorrow. But after that day, I literally did it every single day until I had to stop in episode 404, which I believe was April the 24th-ish. So three months ago. Yeah, today's the 25th, right? Shout out to my sister. It's her birthday today. One of my sisters. Now, so what I'm trying to say is, going back to that, how big of a part, how much this video series has been a part of my life over the last 400 days, yeah. Because I was doing it every single day, and most of the videos were over 3 hours long. Some of the videos were not 3 hours long. They were less than that. But if you add up all the time and you average out the time over the amount of videos, it comes to over 3 hours per video. So I'm pretty sure I have this written down. So if we go to this time text file right here. All right, so if I scroll down, I have, so this is the total time for up until episode 402. I don't know why it goes up to 402. I'm not sure. What's the date on this, by the way? Come on, why does it, sometimes it doesn't show up? Like, you hover over a fucking file and it's supposed to pop up with, there, finally. Yeah, so this was on 4/22. Okay, so this was a couple days before my last episode. That's why it has that date. So anyway, it's 1,290 hours for 402 episodes. So if you had one episode more, it would be 1,293. And then my episode 404 was like 10 minutes long because it was me just saying I'm on hiatus. Anyway, so that is averaging 3 hours a night, every single night, playing Doom. Every single night, no breaks. Even there was one episode where there was a power outage in a fucking snowstorm, and I still made a video. And I had to fucking plow the lane twice, the road twice. I ate supper, and then I plowed the road during a fucking snowstorm. And then I came back and I started my video. The fucking power goes out. I go, and it's still like a blizzard out, and I had to plow again. So then I plowed again, and then I came back and I made another video at like, it was after 1 in the morning or something. It was really late. But this is the dedication I've had towards this video series. And so my whole point of this little story, talk about rambling, right? My whole point is that this video series has been a big part of my life over the last 400 days. And the last thing I wanted to do was to not do it. But it got to the point, my wrist pain got to the point where I had to stop. Okay, so with that being said, I stopped, you know, because in the video I mentioned that, you know, I was going to quit cold turkey. I was going to stop doing the video series, which meant I was going to stop playing Doom. I was also going to stop playing guitar, and I was going to stop playing drums. Because all of these things are very demanding on my wrist. And so I thought to myself, you know, if I stop doing those things, maybe my wrists will heal. So the problem I had was 3 months ago. Okay, well, I've had like wrist and arm and hand pain for probably over 20 years, ever since I started, you know, playing guitar and drums and playing Doom seriously. So I started playing guitar in 1995. I've hurt my wrist several times playing guitar on my fretting hand. And I started playing drums in 2002, and I started playing Doom seriously in 2004. And by seriously, I mean like virtually every day. Either playing Doom or mapping for it or whatever. And but I did start playing Doom in 1995, I think was the first time I played. And I played it on and off, but when I seriously started playing it was in 2004. Plus, you know, I played a lot of other video games back in the day. I was really big into Super Mario Kart. I was pretty highly ranked at one time in the time trial. On the time trial website, I had some world records. And I started playing that in 2003, I think. But before that, I played other video games as well. But, you know, so I've had these problems with my wrist and hand and arm for a long time. And, you know, if I tweaked something, I would take it easy and it would heal itself after, I don't know, a few days or something like that. And then, so we got to about 6 or 7 months ago in the wintertime, I kept re-injuring it, my left wrist specifically, every once a month. I would re-injure it, and then I would take it easy, and it would heal, and I'd go about my day, and then a month later I would injure it again. Just, I wasn't even doing anything, you know, bad for my wrist necessarily. I think every single time it was taking out the garbage. And so it was happening every month, and then 3 months ago it just won't heal anymore. It just stopped healing completely. And so I was still trying to do the video series. I have some videos towards the end of the video series where I'm wearing a brace on my left wrist, and I don't know if that helped or not, but I had to stop anyways. So, but anyway, in the video, I mentioned that I was going to stop doing all of my hobbies for a month. I was going to hopefully heal myself And if it wasn't healed after a month, I was going to, well, I basically said I was going to reevaluate myself after a month, see how I felt. Sorry about that. And figure out what happens after that. So a month goes by. By the way, I don't know if, so I've been taking medication. I've been taking the Advil extra strength liquid gels, 400 milligram ones, I believe. I think those are the strongest anti-inflammatory pills you can grab over the counter. And so now I'm not sure if I started taking those before or after the video series. I'm pretty sure I started it just before I ended the video series. Anyway, I was taking 2 of those a day. They did help a little bit. At least in the beginning, they did help. But after a month, there's still no change in my wrist. So I'm like, oh shit. And so another month goes by. Almost another month goes by. So just before the end of the month, of the second month, it got to the point where it was driving me insane. And so, I don't have, at least back then, I didn't have a family doctor. So, I've been to the hospital probably a few times, maybe 3 times, I think, over the last 8 years. But I've never been to like a family doctor. I haven't had a family doctor since I was 10 or even before that, 30 years ago, when I think the last time I was there was when I had my tonsils out or something like that. So I haven't had no one likes to go to the doctor. And so I never really had a reason to go to the doctor either. So I never had a family doctor. And, I was supposed to, so I've been having this wrist problem for 2 months. We're still in, 2 months after my last video. And, so I was supposed to have a meet and greet with this family doctor, but I kept putting it off. I wouldn't say I'm agoraphobic, because, I'm not afraid of going outside or anything like that. But I probably would classify myself as being a shut-in, because I never leave the property unless it's an emergency. But it's not like I'm afraid to do it or anything like that. So for that, and plus I live outside of the city, so it's a pain in the ass to go into the city. And so I kept pushing off this meet and greet with the doctor, and it got to the point where I waited too long, and I just woke up one day and I couldn't take it anymore. My wrist was just constantly sore, and it was driving me insane. And like I mentioned earlier, it was hard to shower, dry myself off, do my dishes, make my food. And so the one day I woke up and I was like, I have to go to the ER, emergency room. And so I did that, and the doctor there, she had me do, well, she asked me what was wrong, and I told her, and then she had me do a test with my hands. I'm not going to do it because it was very painful. But what she wanted me to do was to bend my hands so that the back of my hands were touching. Oh my God, that was so painful. I couldn't do it with my left wrist. I was able to do it with my right wrist, but yeah, that was really painful. And I did not like her for asking me to do that. So then she said she suspects that I have carpal tunnel, and that, so I had told her about doing the meet and greet with the family doctor, and that, I was eventually going to do that. So going to her was sort of tiding me over to seeing the family doctor. And so she gave me a prescription for meloxicam, which is an anti-inflammatory. What are those called? The Advil liquid gels are also an anti-inflammatory. So, but the meloxicam is a prescription that is stronger than the liquid gels. And apparently, I didn't know this at the time, but apparently meloxicam is for people with arthritis. So she gave me those, and I went to fulfill the prescription at the pharmacy down at the ground floor of the hospital, and the pharmacist told me that I could also take these Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol, 500 milligrams, and so this is acetaminophen, And so it's a different category than the anti-inflammatories. So I can take the Tylenol and the meloxicam at the same time, and they won't interact with each other. So that's what I've been doing. I've been taking 5 extra strength Tylenols a day, one every 4 hours. So I take one at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m., 9 p.m., and then 1 a.m. And then I would go to sleep. And I would, so before I saw the ER doctor, I was up to 3 Advil liquid gels a day for like a week or 2. And even with that, it was still, it was just, my wrist was constantly sore. And the 3 is apparently, according to the instructions, that's the maximum amount you're supposed to take in a day. So I get the meloxicam and I go home and I start taking it. And after a couple days, the constant soreness goes down, which is really nice. But you know, the pain is still there. I can feel it when I do certain things, and I can only do low impact stuff. So I can't lift anything, not even heavy. I just you know, even light things I can't even lift if they're too heavy enough. But I can like get through the day just doing low impact things. And so a couple days later, I finally do the meet and greet with the doctor. It's less of a meet and greet, and I'm actually a patient now. And so he, I think he thought I was, what did he think? So he gave me a prescription for Toradol, which is another anti-inflammatory. I've had Toradol before, and I know it works good. So I had it back in 2017 when I hurt my back. So I was happy about that. And he also gave me a requisition form to have an ultrasound done on my wrist. So I go home, and I keep taking the meloxicam, because the meloxicam is working in the sense that I'm not constantly sore anymore. So I just want to keep that up, and I know the Toradol works, so I'm gonna save that for when I really need it. Okay, and then my ultrasound comes up. So I have my ultrasound, and here we go. This is one of the results of my ultrasound. So this is, what is this? This is the median nerve, volar left wrist. So there were, I think, 28 images that the person did, that the doctor made of my wrist. He was going all the way around my wrist. And I don't know, should we look at the report or this first? Okay, we can look at the report first. So I blacked out a bunch of my information, so it's not in my YouTube video, but you can see 41 male, that's me. And this was on July 4th when I actually went to the ultrasound place. After I saw the doctor, I had to call to book an appointment, and it was like a week and a half or 2 weeks later. So yeah, so the family doctor suspected tendinopathy. That's what he wrote. So I think tendinopathy is like a broad term regarding the tendons in your wrist. And so they did. So everything was normal until you come down to the median nerve, and apparently the median nerve goes down your arm. It goes through the carpal tunnel, and I think it. I don't know. It like works these 3 fingers, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid, but I feel like that's what I feel like I read that. I'm not sure though, but so it says my median nerve is abnormal. It says 13 square millimeters. And down here it says, it's pretty hard to see, eh? So it says normal is less than or equal to 11 square millimeters. Now, just before doing the video, I did a little bit of research. And it says like a normal median nerve is supposed to be between 6 point something to 10 point something square millimeters. I went to a couple different websites, and they each had like different amounts. I did not see 11. They were all under 11 for normal. Meanwhile, mine's 13. So that's, abnormal. red. And so this is what it looks like. I don't know where she was positioning the little the apparatus on my wrist. I don't know where it was, but apparently this area right here is the median nerve. So let me just make a little circle there. Yeah, so right in here. So it looks like an oval, right? So I think that's what's abnormal about it. It's so carpal tunnel syndrome is when the median nerve gets compressed in the carpal tunnel. So the carpal tunnel is basically a tunnel that the median nerve goes through. And so you can see it's like an oval shape. And so I guess that means it got compressed. And so yeah. Also some interesting information that I read today. Apparently this is much more common in women. So carpal tunnel syndrome cases, the ratio that they occur in women to men is 3 to 1. So 3 to 1, 3 times more women experience carpal tunnel syndrome than men. I think I read that apparently because their carpal tunnel is generally smaller than the males. I guess that's why. Now, so I was wondering to myself, so if someone's really big, like tall and just a big person, I'm assuming their median nerve would also be bigger, right? And if someone was really small, their median nerve would be smaller, and their carpal tunnel would be smaller as well. Now, in my case, I'm not a really big guy. I'm 153 pounds. I am 5'8", I think, maybe 5'9" if I'm lying. I honestly don't know what my height is. I'm trying to think here. If I measured myself, I feel like I did measure myself, but it's kind of hard to measure yourself accurately, right? But I think last time I did, I was 5'8". I don't know, like, is that average or is that below average? I don't know. If I was an athlete, I would be below average. You look at all these stats of hockey players, at least I do sometimes, and you look on the roster and nearly everyone is over 6 feet, 6 feet or over. And if someone's 5 something, it's in the high 5s. It's like 5'11", 5'10". So being under 5'10", I feel, is quite rare if you're playing hockey, at least. And it's kind of funny. There was this one guy he was in the league a few years ago. He played for a few years in the league as well. He was 5'5". He was very short, but he was very, very thick and strong on his feet. So he had a super low center of gravity. His name was Nathan Gerby. He was notable because of how short he was. And it was kind of funny. There's this funny picture of him lining up for a face-off. I don't think they're quite lined up yet. They're standing up straight. And so at the face-off dot, he was a winger. And then it must have been in the offensive zone. And so the defenseman on the other team was right next to him. So we have this 5'5" forward standing right next to the defenseman on the other team, who is 6'9". He was the tallest guy in the league at the time, Zdeno Chara. And he's not in the league anymore, but that image is hilarious. The height difference is just incredible. So, yeah, so apparently I have an abnormal median nerve, and apparently that means you have carpal tunnel syndrome. So after I got the ultrasound, I went back to the doctor, and he told me, actually, okay, well, I can talk about the ultrasound a little bit. This is my second ultrasound, by the way. I had an ultrasound on my gallbladder as well in 2020 when I was having problems with my gallbladder. And both ultrasounds revealed problems. So I'm 2 for 2 on my success rate on ultrasounds is 100%. But this ultrasound especially I was sitting on the bed. For some reason, both ultrasounds involved a very dark room. I don't know if that's necessary for the ultrasound, but I feel like whenever I like watch a movie or something and someone's doing an ultrasound on a pregnant lady, I feel like the lights are really bright. So is this just a coincidence that both times I've had an ultrasound, the light level has been very low? I don't know. But yeah, but for this ultrasound, I was sitting on the bed and the doctor was right beside me basically, and she was facing her computer screen. So she was facing her screen, I was facing her, sitting on the bed, but I was looking at her computer screen. So we were right next to each other. I had my hand out like this, and she had the apparatus. She put the gel on my wrist, and she's going over my wrist, making images like this. There were like 28 images, but this, as you can see in the report, all of them were normal except for this one. So, by the way, she also mentioned that there was crossing of extensors seen in compartment 2 in my extensor carpi radialis longus, but apparently that's normal. But I guess she felt the need to write it down. So yeah, I'm sitting right next to her, looking at the screen as she's doing it. It was pretty cool. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. Like, this is what I'm looking at. And I didn't know what I was looking at, but I'm looking at stuff. So she's doing stuff, and then she starts making annotations on the screen, like this stuff, and then she wrote this as well. And she did something else as well. I think the annotations I'm thinking of was when she was this, probably. I'm assuming. I don't know, to be honest. Maybe it was also involving my median nerve, but, you know, I was trying to ask her, like, do you see anything wrong? That sort of stuff. I wasn't being annoying or anything. I was being charming. I was being friendly, but I don't think she's really allowed to do that. She's not allowed to tell me what's wrong. Her job is to do the ultrasound and then write the report. And then the report goes to, I don't know if she writes the report or another doctor does, but then they send the report to my family doctor, and my family doctor tells me what's wrong. But I was trying to get some information out of her, but unfortunately, I don't think that worked. But, you know, before we actually did the ultrasound, you can see I have a brace on my right wrist too. So, you know, shortly after I saw my family doctor for the first time, my right wrist started having the same symptoms as my left wrist. And so I go to do the ultrasound on my left wrist, and I asked the doctor, you know, can I, you know, I know my requisition form only lists my left wrist, but I've been, you know, since after I saw the doctor, I've been having the same problem in my right wrist, and I was just wondering, since I'm here, would we be able to also do the ultrasound on my right wrist? And, you know, she said, well, we can only do what's written on the requisition form, so you'd have to go back to your doctor and get another one. And I understood that, so, but I had asked her that at the very beginning. And so we're doing the ultrasound, and it's getting towards, and then at the very end, she asked me to give her my right wrist. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's cool. She's going to do my right wrist as well. But she doesn't go all the way around. She just makes one image right here, right on the front there. And she does a side-by-side comparison. So she has my left wrist on one side and my right wrist on the other, images of them. And I'm asking her, I forget what the exact wording of the question was. Honestly, I think what I asked her was, are they supposed to be identical? Which, you know, thinking back, that's probably a really stupid question. Obviously, your wrists are supposed to be identical, right? Now, I don't know if that's what I actually asked or not, but what I think she said, she replied to me, and I think what she said was, they are identical. I think that's what she said, but I still don't know if she said they are identical or they're supposed to be identical. There's some sort of confusion in my mind that I'm unsure about. But I didn't realize, so, by the way, since I have, the way I have this information, apparently you can go online and you can sign up for some sort of service where you can access your medical records and your medical report So I was able to download this after paying a small amount of money. And so I was able to download the report, and I was able to download all the images. There were 28 images, but I only downloaded this one because this is the one that showed the median nerve, and it had this down here. I lost where I was. Oh, yeah. So out of the 28 images, that side-by-side comparison with left and right, it wasn't included in the results. And I was like, what the hell? And then I realized, oh, she probably just did that for my benefit, because I had asked her before the ultrasound if she could also do my right wrist. And so I think she was just doing me a solid. And I'm assuming that she said that that they're identical, that I also have carpal tunnel in my right wrist as well. So I went back to the doctor, and he told me I had carpal tunnel syndrome, and so I had this style of brace. So this is sort of a minimalist brace. It did say carpal tunnel when I bought it on Amazon, and I had been wearing this on my left wrist for 2 months. But he wanted me to get this style brace. So this isn't just a brace. It also has an aluminum splint, basically a piece of aluminum right here to keep the wrist nice and straight. And so I've been wearing this basically 24/7 for the since I saw the doctor, which I think was about a week ago, almost a week ago. And I also bought one for my right wrist as well that I wear at night. So he said you're supposed to wear these at night. And that's what I've been doing. But I also wear this one during the day. And it's hard to wear my right one during the day because my right hand is my dominant hand. So it gets in the way of doing many things. And so I just wear the smaller brace on my right wrist. But so he gave me a requisition form to have another ultrasound on my right wrist. And that is on August the 1st, I believe, which is next week. I think it's Thursday, so a week from today. So I fully expect to have like the same experience. I fully expect to have an abnormal median nerve in this wrist as well. And so he said there were 3 options. One of them was to get a proper brace, wear it for 8 weeks to see if it heals itself, if there's an improvement. And then another option was to have a steroid injection into the carpal tunnel. He said he didn't like that because he doesn't think it's effective. So his idea was that, getting the brace, wearing the brace for 2 months is much more effective than just getting a steroid shot. And then the third option was to have surgery. And he didn't like that option yet because I hadn't done the splint/brace yet. So what he said, he wanted me to wear the brace for 8 weeks and see if there's an improvement. If there's no improvement, then I can have the surgery. So that's where I am right now. I've got, so I think I saw him. When did I see him? I forget when I saw him. It's been like a week-ish. And immediately after I saw him, so he like brought this brace up on his computer screen when I was in the doctor's office on Amazon. And so I went home and I bought the exact thing that he was looking at. So, and it is much more sturdy than this. However, I have not noticed an improvement. So I fully expect after the 8 weeks that I'm gonna have to have surgery. Because there's been no improvement. I haven't healed at all. I've been so careful over the last 2 months, 3 months now, with my wrist. Even though I wasn't wearing the proper brace, splint, I've been so careful. And so the reason, so they want you to wear this style of splint overnight because people tend to bend their wrists and stuff when they sleep. But I'm very conscious of how I sleep at night, of how I'm posed, because I've had problems with my back while sleeping, especially recently, because I had to replace my mattress because it was really hurting my back. And so for the last several years, I only sleep in 2 different poses. I always sleep on my sides, whether it's my right side or my left side. Those are the only 2 ways I sleep, on my side. So I'm a 100% side sleeper. And my nose is so fucking itchy. Oh my God, I keep pawing at it. So I'm very conscious of and aware of how I sleep at night, and I don't bend my wrist. My arms are in a very specific position when I'm sleeping, whether I'm on my left side or my right side. They're always in the same position, even when I was wearing this style brace. However, so the point I'm trying to make is that I've been so careful over the last 3 months in terms of sleeping, in terms of just doing low impact things. I even had to change the kind of meals I prepare. Now I've probably talked about this before, but I've been eating homemade pizzas since 2019. So, oh right, I can also talk about the other ultrasound I had. So the other ultrasound I had was on my gallbladder, and I remember that because I remember going into this was in the hospital, and so I had to lie down for this one, and I had to go on my side, and I wasn't able to see the screen, so I'm just on my side with my shirt pulled up, and the girl puts the gel on. She's putting the apparatus on my gallbladder, and she is just like digging it into my gallbladder, and it hurts so much. So but I remember she asked me, I didn't comment about it or anything, and I wasn't making any noises. She didn't know it was painful for me. I was just like thinking to myself, oh my God, this hurts so much, because she was pushing down on my gallbladder, and my gallbladder at that time was full of stones, and I had just had a gallstone attack just a matter of hours earlier. And so it was still really inflamed at the time. I didn't know this at the time, but that's what was happening. And so she's pushing down on my gallbladder. It's really painful. And at one point she asked me, have you been in pain? Not because I've been in pain from this, but I didn't realize this until later. She was looking on the screen, the ultrasound screen, and she was seeing these stones in my gallbladder. And so that's why she asked if I was in pain. And I remember saying to her, yeah, when you push down really hard, it's pretty painful. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I said, no, it's okay. But it was kind of funny. But so 2019, I started having problems with my gallbladder. I didn't know at the time what the problem was, but I would wake up in the middle of the night and I couldn't put any pressure on my abdomen. I wasn't able to pinpoint that it was coming from my gallbladder because it felt like just my entire abdomen, like all the intestines were all inflamed and they were trying to push out of my body. And I wasn't, so I had to get out of bed. I couldn't sit down with my back against a chair because I couldn't put any pressure on my abdomen, and I couldn't lie down. So I would get up, I would pace in the middle of the night and stretching. I'd have to like lift my arms up to stretch. It was quite painful. It wasn't excruciating, but it was very painful. I couldn't sleep, and then after an hour or two, it got to the point where the pain subsided enough that I was able to go back to sleep. And so it happened once, and I was really freaked out by that because I'd never experienced that before. And so the day after that, I didn't eat anything. I barely ate anything. I didn't eat much of anything because of how freaked out I was. And then the day after, and then that night, nothing happened. And then the day after that, I had my usual meals, and it happened again that night. So then I was like, okay, it must be my diet, because I didn't eat very healthy back then. This was when I was 204 pounds. That was my peak weight. And as I mentioned before, I'm like 5'8", 5'9" if I'm lying. So I was 204 pounds, and I didn't really think about my diet. I overate, I guess, but I didn't really pay attention. I ate specific amounts of food, and that was it. And so, the second time I had a gallstone attack, I decided, okay, I got to change my diet. So I changed my diet, and I started having homemade pizza every single day for the next 14 months. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that. There were literally only 5 days when I didn't have homemade pizza for supper. Out of, I don't know how many days 14 months is, but a lot of days. It's probably 400-ish days, right? By the way, 14 months later, I was down to 134 pounds. So this goes to show, even if you eat pizza every night. By the way, I also ate chocolate ice cream for dessert. Small bowl of chocolate ice cream for dessert. And I lost 71 pounds at that point. And so this homemade pizza was ultra thin crust. So pizza's good for you. Homemade pizza is good for you if you get the amount, you get the portions of the ingredients correct. So with normal pizza, there's way too much crust. So there's too much bread, and there's way too much cheese. So cheese has a lot of fat in it. It has good fat, but it has a lot of fat. So if you eat too much of it, you're gonna get fat, right? So, and bread is just all carbs. So, so if you make a really, I'm talking super thin crust. My fucking nose is so itchy. Oh my God. You make the crust extremely thin. So I would make a batch of dough, and I would cut it up into 7 individual portions, and I would put them in the fridge. And each night I would take out a portion of dough, and I would, I'd roll it out into a super ultra thin crust pizza. And for cheese, I don't know how much cheese I used, but I barely used any cheese. And so a little life hack, by the way, when you go to grate your cheese, if you have a cheese grater, it has, oftentimes it has 4 sides, and each side has a different sized grater blade, right? So normally people use the big grater blade, the regular cheese grater blade, to grate their cheese. Blade, I think I said blade. I don't know if I've been misspeaking. But there's also a smaller blade on one of the other sides. And if you grate your cheese with that, it feels like you get more cheese. Even though you technically don't get more cheese, it feels like you do, because there are more shavings, cheese shavings. And so you can disperse your cheese a little more if you have smaller, thinner shavings of cheese. And so that's what I did. I came up with that idea myself because I'm a genius. And it worked out great. So I think I used to get one of those 450 gram blocks of cheese, and I would cut it up into 10 individual pieces. So that would be 45 grams per serving, right? Per pizza. And if I remember correctly, I looked on the back, and I don't know, I think it came to like 25% of your daily recommended saturated fat. So, I mean, there's a lot of fat there, but as long as your other meals during the day aren't very fatty either, then it worked out great. And it did work out great because I lost so much weight. So I'd been having these gallbladder attacks. I didn't know what they were. So, okay, so I had the 2 gallbladder attacks, and then I changed my diet. And 6 months later, I had another one. And then, so I ended up tweaking my diet again. So I think I made the, so I think with the pizza dough, I started off cutting it into 4. And then 6 months later, I had another gallbladder attack. And I cut it into 5 or 6. And then a couple months later, I had another gallbladder attack. And so then I cut it into 7. And so, I kept tweaking my diet, thinking that it would help. I didn't know what was going on inside me, but, so after the 6 months after the first 2 that I had, it happened again. And so the next day I ended up going to a clinic or something. But by the time I saw the doctor, it was, I think it was a nurse actually. The doctor wasn't actually there, it was a nurse. And, but I felt fine at the time. And so the nurse, he took some blood and he said, so it's only happened once 6 months ago? He's like, I won't worry about it. So I didn't worry about it, but then, every 2 or 3 months it would happen again until eventually it got to the point where the last time I had a gallbladder attack was May of 2020. So it was like right in the beginnings of COVID. And so I wake up in the middle of the night, like at 12:30, and it lasted until I think 7:30 a.m. So it lasted so long. It lasted so long to the point where I ended up going to the emergency room, and thankfully, the emergency room doctor was able to diagnose that it was that I had gallstones. And she did that because I told her what was the problem. Apparently what I said was, like, how I was describing the pain wasn't how people normally would describe a gallbladder attack, because apparently people were able to pinpoint where it's coming from. I wasn't able to do that. I don't know if I'm stupid or if it's just everything was too inflamed, but so that there was just pain everywhere and I couldn't pinpoint where it was coming from. But thankfully she had the idea of doing the ultrasound, and so I did the ultrasound and she found that there were stones there. So with that being said, this video is way too long. And so I did gain a little bit of weight. I mentioned earlier I'm 153 pounds now, so I did go down 134. And then when she found that I had gallstones, she sent the findings to a surgeon, and it was okay. So when I was in the emergency room, right before I saw the doctor, so when you go to the ER, you have to tell like a nurse or something what's wrong. She writes it down, then she sends it to the doctor, and you have to wait. And so, but I remember I told the nurse, and I think I was waiting in this in a hospital room, and it had a bed in there, and it was sort of inclined at the back of it. So I was sitting, but I was like reclined. And I just remember, so by then the pain was subsiding because it was, I don't know, it was 8 a.m. by that time. And I was so tired because I didn't sleep at all because I was up pacing around for fucking 7 hours, stretching. And so I was just lying down. I remember being so comfortable in that bed and just enjoying lying down there. And then, I talked to the doctor. She sent me to have an ultrasound. And then I go back to the room and I lie down again. I try to sleep, but not really sleep, just resting your eyes. But I remember being so comfortable. And then eventually the surgeon comes in and he talks to me about it. And he says I have gallstones. And there's been evidence of multiple attacks because there's scarring all over my gallbladder. And so every time I woke up at night with that, intense pain in my abdomen, I think that was a gallstone attack, a gallbladder attack. And apparently what that is so the gallbladder, something, okay, this is what I can never remember. What organ? It's either the liver or the kidney. I honestly don't know. It's probably the liver, right? It sends bile up to the gallbladder. And then the gallbladder sends the bile to your stomach or your intestines, whatever, to digest food. And it sort of stays in your gallbladder until you need it. And so sometimes you can develop stones. I don't know what they're made of, but in your gallbladder. And then the stones can sort of block. I don't know if it's the tube that comes in or the tube that goes, probably the tube that goes out, right? Yeah, it blocks the tube and then it becomes inflamed and then you have a gallbladder attack. And so I've been having, I had like fucking 6 of them and before I went to the ER. Oh my God. I haven't had one since. So I had my gallbladder removed and now the bile goes straight from, I think it's my liver. Any medical people out there, let me know how stupid I am. But it goes straight from there into my my digestive system. So I have no more gallbladder anymore. So I don't think I have anything more to say. There's probably something I forgot to say, but so yeah, I mean, I just have to wait now. Wait 2 months, see if it heals itself. I don't think it's going to, because like I said, I've been so careful and there's just been no improvement at all. So I'm assuming after 2 months, I'm going to have surgery, and I don't know what that's going to be all about. Apparently, it's very easy. There are 2 kinds. They can like cut a slit in your wrist, and then I think they cut the median nerve or something, or they can put a camera in there from the side. I don't know which one they're going to do. And I also don't know what the recovery process, the recovery time on that is. And I'm a little worried because both of my wrists are fucked. And am I going to get surgery on both of them at the same time? Am I even going to be able to use my hands for a certain amount of time after that? I don't know. But I don't really want to worry about that right now. So I just have to get through these 2 months. And so apparently, surgery is not even 100%, like, it won't necessarily fix the problem. So I might have permanent damage on my median nerve. My carpal tunnel median nerve area. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. We will figure that out in a couple months. And but I just remembered there's something else. I was talking about Toradol earlier. Now I started. I mentioned that I was doing the meloxicam that the ER doctor prescribed me. I'm assuming no one's watching this anymore, but I'm just going to keep talking to justify my rambling comment earlier in the video. So I was taking the meloxicam, and I mentioned that the family doctor had prescribed me Toradol, and I wanted to say that until I really needed it. So I finished off the meloxicam from the ER doctor, and then I tried to go back to the Advil liquid gels. But I couldn't even last 2 days because my wrist was so sore. So then I started on the Toradol, and you know, my favorite part of the Toradol is actually one of the side effects. Apparently one of the potential side effects is vivid dreams. And so when I had Toradol it's Toradol, also known as Ketorolac. I think when I had it in 2017, it was called Ketorolac, but apparently it's the same thing. When I had it in 2017, it was because of my back, and it does a good job at, you know, lowering the threshold of pain. It's an anti-inflammatory, and I was having these every single night. I was having these vivid dreams that I would remember when I would wake up, and I thought it was awesome because, you know, I'm the type of person who I really like that, you know, the abstract dream world. I'm very much a fan of that. I like, you know, weird things like that. I'm not someone who has nightmares. I don't think I've ever really had a nightmare. I've had uncomfortable dreams. I usually have maybe 1 or 2 uncomfortable dreams a year. but no nightmares. And I mean, the uncomfortable part of it is that it's like more of a sort of a realistic situation as opposed to an abstract dream-like situation. So it's like some sort of aspect of my life that I might be uncomfortable with, that might come through in my dreams. But I don't have nightmares, and so when I was having these vivid dreams, it was so awesome. Because I'm in the dream world. It's very vivid. Weird stuff is happening. I remember it when I wake up, and it's amazing. I remember, so this was a little while ago, like maybe a year or so ago. I remember Googling. I remember Googling that about Ketorolac, vivid dream side effects for Ketorolac, and all I see are results about people complaining about it. People complaining about having these vivid dreams, like they were scared of them, and so it was like a really negative side effect for all of these people. Whereas for me, it was a very positive side effect. So when I started having the Ketorolac again, it was so cool. Every single night I had an adventure. It was really fun. I looked forward to going to sleep, and I remember one of these, one of the last, so I stopped taking the Toradol. Unfortunately, it was really, really expensive. So he gave me, how many pills did he give me? I don't remember how many pills he gave me. He gave me, so he gave me 30, and I would have 2 a day. So 30 pills, and it cost $52. That's a lot of money, and I take 2 a day, so that's basically 2 weeks worth of pills for $52, and that's insane. The meloxicam was much cheaper. I got so unfortunately I asked the doctor, can you prescribe me some meloxicam instead, because the Ketorolac is way too much. The Toradol is way too much money. I can't really justify that. And the meloxicam did a decent job. It's just it didn't give me the vivid dreams, but whatever. So, but yeah, so the Toradol ended, and then I went back on meloxicam. But one of the dreams I had while I was having the Toradol, one of the vivid dreams was, I remember, that I can still remember now. It was sort of oh shit, I forgot. I was going to bring it up on the screen here. There was some sort of picture that I wanted to bring up, but so I had it was sort of set in like a thriller type of movie, like a sci-fi thriller type of movie, where I don't know if it's the government, but there's some sort of band of people, like the government or something, who is chasing you. So like one of those type of movies. And so it was me and 2 other people. I don't think I knew who those people were, but the government was chasing us. And so what I remember, it was sort of in like a Doom universe too, in like Doom landscape as well, the video game Doom. But there was this one specific spot. I think it was either that day or a couple days before. I'd seen a picture of Madison Reed. She is Victoria Justice's sister, and it was some sort of modeling photo where I don't know if she was actually in this area, but in the background she was modeling some sort of, I don't know if she was in a bikini or something, but in the background it was this super grand landscape. It was like a chasm or a quarry or some sort of mountainous area, but I remember it was very visually striking, and I couldn't tell if it was real, if she was actually there, or if it was a backdrop. I wasn't sure, but I remember seeing that picture and thinking, wow, that was really cool. And then, I don't know if it was that night or a couple days later, that same sort of landscape was in my dream. And so it's fun, actually, when you have these vivid dreams, or any dream at all, and you see specific things, and you try and match that thing with what happened in your real world. So like when you wake up and you're like, oh, that part of the dream was from when I saw this, or when this happened to me in real life. So it's fun trying to match them together, where the dream stuff came from in your real life. But anyway, so we were in that like landscape type of area, grand landscape type of area. And then we were doing some sort of platforming in some Doom platforming in one spot. And then we get towards the end of the dream. My nose is just so goddamn itchy. We get to this like towards the end, and there's this huge chasm. And then in the chasm, there is this like top secret aircraft. I don't know if it was a UFO or something, but this chasm is so deep. And the aircraft isn't at the bottom of the chasm. It's like I don't know how high it's pretty high up into the chasm. But what I remember is there is this ladder that goes to the bottom of the chasm that goes up to the up into the aircraft. But it was just it was like comically huge. It would not be physically possible to have a ladder that big. So that's another instance of it being in the Doom universe. You know, you can just have this endlessly tall ladder and it won't matter because normal physics don't matter. But so it's me and those two people. My fucking nose. Oh. Me and these two people. And we're inside this aircraft, and then the government people come into the aircraft, and it's like, oh shit, they've got us. But I managed to escape. And so I managed to go up to the top of the chasm, to the top of the mountainous area. And then there are a couple like garages or buildings there. And I remember one of the buildings or the garage was sort of see-through, and I could see into it. There was nothing inside, but I remember it being see-through. And I go into one of them. I'm sort of exploring. At that moment, they weren't chasing me anymore for some reason. But then all of a sudden they start chasing me again. And so I hide behind the buildings. And behind the buildings, there's this long wall, sort of along the edge of the perimeter there where the buildings end. And the wall is short enough that I can climb over it. And I look over the wall, and then there's like the ocean. I don't know if it's the ocean, but there's this huge body of water there, and then a beach. It looks exactly like, by the way, this part in Grand Theft Auto 3, where you know there's water all over the place. But if you know what I'm talking about, Salvatore's mansion, there's a beach sort of next to it. And then the beach meets up with the harbor, I believe. And the part I'm talking about is the part where the beach meets the harbor. There's a bit of a lip there, a concrete lip, I think. And it leads from the harbor and then into the beach. And that's pretty much what it was. It's funny, though, because I don't remember I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 3 in a long ass time. I don't know what initiated that in my mind, but that came into my mind. So I jumped over the wall. I go into the sand. I'm running from the guys who are chasing me. I don't think they're really chasing me. I'm just trying to get as far away from them as possible. So I'm running on the sand, and all of a sudden there's like a crocodile in the sand. And I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! Now I gotta dodge a crocodile, including these guys who are chasing me. And then so I look behind me, and then I see my old dog, who had died in, when did he die? He died in 2020, October 2020. And so I just had this dream like a week ago. So he's behind me, and he's running towards me. I'm like, hey, Kobe, come here. And then we run, and for some reason the crocodile isn't there anymore. And then we run down the beach, and that was the end of the dream. But I remember it being a very fun dream at the end because my dog was there. My old dog was there. It was cool to see him again. And then I wake up and I remember what happened, and so that was really cool. So that's a cool thing about Toradol. And I was wondering, I started to think about, are there any like recreational drugs that are designed to enhance your dreams? I think I did Google that, and there were a couple results, but Because, you know, if there was a drug that didn't alter you in any way and it only altered your dreams or like enhanced your dreams, because I'm not looking to get high or anything like that. If there was some sort of recreational drug that enhanced your dreams, I would try it just to see what it was like, because I very much enjoy that. Living in the dream world. It sort of reminds me of that. I think I talked about this before. There's this TV show, this old Canadian TV show called The Odyssey that I watched when I was a kid. It was a kid's show, but it was pretty dark for a kid's show at times. It was about this kid. He was running away from a bully, and he takes like this rope down from a treehouse, but the rope breaks off of it's on like a pulley system or something. The pulley breaks off, and the kid falls down, and he hits his head, and he's in a coma. And so he's in a coma for like the whole series, and he's in his dream world. And so there's elements of his real life in his dream world, but then there's also abstract dream scenarios that are involved in it. And I remember really liking that show when I was young. And so having these sort of dreams sort of remind me of that, the vivid dreams. It reminds me of watching that show. Funnily enough, eventually the kid, spoiler alert, eventually the kid comes out of the coma. I think it lasted for 3 seasons. Eventually he comes out of the coma, and but there's still dream sequences. I don't know if it's dream sequences, but he goes back to the dream world, and then he's back in the real world. It sort of goes back and forth. I don't really remember how that happened, but anyway, this video was way too long, talking about rambling. Oh my god. So I don't know if you want to watch this or not, but if you watch this, I don't know, you probably have mental problems. So good luck with that. And hopefully after 2 months, I'll have some more information. I'll try and post another update. But I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. So until next update. So I mean, I've tried to upload videos every single day. Initially I uploaded multiple videos a day, but it's got to the point where I can only do 1 video a day because, you know, even making the videos, clipping out the videos is hard on my wrist. So eventually I might have to stop uploading videos entirely. So if I do that, then that's why. It's because it's too hard on my wrist. But so yeah, until later.